This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Daily live streaming interactive. Featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to Investment Perspectives, everybody. This is the SEC site, and I'm just on here making our daily check. And nothing new to report, but we stay on top of it. All right. So the news that came out just a few hours ago was about PayID and how Ripple supports PayID. It is a 40 global company nonprofit coalition that supports open global payments and interoperability across the world. It's pretty remarkable when you think about the implications of that. And what I find extremely interesting about this is that here you have this coalition that's announced today to be able to bring a global universal PayPal style app to the planet. And you're looking at the idea and the notion that yesterday we saw Christopher Giancarlo release a paper not only giving his professional opinion that XRP is not a security, but giving his opinion that XRP is a currency. Now, I asked a question earlier this morning in my first video. If XRP is a currency, does that mean that we don't have to pay capital gains tax? You can imagine the comments that are coming in now. Look, I don't know the answer. And I have gotten some great responses from the community. I want to start with a couple, and then I want to talk about some KYC info, right? Because I think there is a huge correlation with the KYC and some other information we're going to look at as well that may support where we're at here in this idea of, well, this opinion of Christopher Giancarlo and his partner there that did this paper. And we want to take a look at that. And we also want to cover some other stuff about regulations as well that is very pertinent too. So the first thing I want to do is celebrate two people who had great insight on this matter. One is Michael Allen. So shout out to Michael Allen. He says, basic currency is taxed at ordinary income rates no matter how long the company holds it before selling. Currency held for investment purposes is taxed at capital gains rates. If the company has held the currency for more than 1 year, the gain is taxed at a long-term capital gains rate, which would mean a lower rate. The interesting part about this is that if I can spend this, and let's say if I just own one XRP and it goes from 20 cents to $5 or $500 rather, for an example of a number, you know, and I can go spend this the way I spend US dollars or the Mexican peso. I'm curious how that would work, that you could be taxed, but yet still go spend the money somewhere as well at the same time. It's you know, it's interesting, but it's a great comment by Michael Allen, and I wanted to feature that. And I have another comment here from another Hall of Famer, because they're both Hall of Famers here. And this one is Carl Wagner. My view is XRP cannot be taxed in any shape or form because it will ruin its actual goal. The goal was to have zero fees to make the Internet of Value a reality. Boom. Oh, Carl. Now, we can always count on Carl for the optimism because he's got it. He's got it in spades like I do. But I must say, this is a very, very compelling point that Carl is making as well. If this is in fact going to be the bridge utility token for the entire global supplement of trade and the Internet of Value alike, how in the world do you even tax it? It seems like that could potentially hinder the entire system. So I leave you with that. Now, let's move on to the next thing, which is, it is now June 18th. In 6 days, we have the FATF deadline for the 1-year KYC AML compliance issues for exchanges. Now, we don't know how hard or fast they may or may not enforce those. They may do a delay. They may come in hard and get the countries and regulatory bodies within those respective countries to punish those exchanges. We don't know yet. It's going to be quite a thing to watch. However, what I would say is, let's focus on the KYC AML compliance for those exchanges. Well, if in fact, I have a theory, and I've had it, and I've not been shy about it on this channel, that all the exchanges at some point, XRP will become the base currency pair for those exchanges. Because I believe everything has to go on or across or touch that ledger. It is the universal ledger for the new world and the old. If that is correct, you would have to ask yourself, doesn't it make sense that the exchanges need to be KYC and AML then? Because they're dealing with a currency, just like banks? Doesn't it make sense that when the deadline gets here, if that is all in line, that banks will soon be offering digital assets, because what else do they have? Outside of the tax implications on this, I come back to the regulations. If nothing else, we are in a great position because the market is moving in such a way that it is going to force regulatory agencies to come out and throw stakes in the ground. This is hugely positive. In the same respect, we are seeing the same incentive and pressure in the business finance world because of what PayID is doing. Looking at this and knowing, okay, seeing this entire thing as a currency and not a commodity, and certainly not a security, takes on a new breath and a new light for me. You know, Chris Larson did say, and I saw this in a digital asset investor video a couple months ago, I think it was, where he was talking, Chris Larson was talking to someone who was interviewing him, and I believe, my memory serves me correctly, and he had said about the having the liquidity of the Swiss franc. XRP having the liquidity of the Swiss franc, which is a currency. Coming back to understanding this, the current situation as it is, you are taxed with capital gains at the moment. I want to be very clear about that, and I want to be very clear about the fact that I believe that if all of the things that we are discussing and trying to understand in a much clearer way, if those things are accurate about it truly being a currency long term, then that will change. But we don't have that official definition from the right regulatory bodies, right? Like the OCC or FSOC, right? Those types of things that could come out and make these kind of impactful decisions and really get us the clarity we need for a classification of the asset. And I think if nothing else, now more than ever, classification of this asset is extremely extremely important here. All right, so if it is a currency, there may still be capital gains implications. We don't really know. We've had Michael Allen gave an excellent answer on that. Carl Wagner gave an excellent answer on why it may not be. I wanted to share both of those points of view for everybody to continue this conversation, because this is one incredible audience, and I want to hear your remarks about it. Now, one more thing I want to leave you with. Maybe there's a back door for us after all. And I have to shout out David Nathan Jacobs for this one. I actually covered this about Trump back in May. I think it was early May. But I want you to listen here a couple minutes in and hear what he says about the idea of halting capital gains tax. Now, this is a completely different conversation that we're talking about. It's just an economic conversation. So this could, not to have a play on words, this could trump everything that we've discussed anyway, whether it does get taxed or not. Now, this would have to pass. This is a long way from happening, but they are having an open discussion about halting capital gains tax. Let's listen here.
We want to have we're throwing money at it. And over the years, they've learned that's much better than not doing it. Look at 1928. In 1928, they raised interest rates and they raised taxes. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good. But if you look at 1928, 1929, the first thing they did was raise taxes, and then they raised interest rates, and they choked everybody to death, and it took 15 years to recover, more than that. So we do it. We're doing it the right way. We have a lot of great students of finance. I'm one of them, and we're throwing money at it. And I'll tell you what, I've watched some people and read some people that I would say would not have agreed with that, and I haven't seen anybody disagreeing with what we're doing. And in fact, they say what we're doing with the PPP, with all of the things that we're doing, is great. One thing we could do is a payroll tax cut. That seems to bother the Democrats. The one thing with the payroll tax cut, though, it's over a little bit longer period of time.
Here it comes. Get ready.
But a payroll tax cut is something that some people that are very smart, I'm one of those people that like it because I think it's really sustainable. I think it will sustain it. But that's one thing that a lot of people would like to see.
Mr. President, you were with seven.
Another thing they'd like to see is a capital gains tax cut, meaning no capital gains. Some Republicans are true hardline Republicans around the table. Not all of them. Some people might say, Louis might say, forget it. But some people would say that a capital gains stoppage, cutting capital gains, getting rid of capital gains tax, they've said that for many years, would be a great thing. The true conservative Republicans around this table, of which there are about seven solid, but I still like the other ones too. But they would say that's music to their ears, right?
Okay, there you hear it. I mean, this has been floated since, I think this was May, early May, sometime there. Published May 8th. Yeah, now I actually covered this when it actually first came out. So shout out to David Nathan Jacobs, who I actually had this on my mind. Big Skinny and I were talking earlier today about this notion and bringing this back up again. And who knows, this could play an angle into cryptocurrency. And even if this is a currency that normally would be in a taxable situation, maybe you can avoid it. We'll see. It's all a ways off. We do need more information, that's for sure. But I'll tell you something. We should start pondering what this thing looks like now that we know that at least Christopher Giancarlo, who does represent a presence to Ripple's case against them, and not saying that he's at the class action, but he is definitely helping to present their case, and we want to keep an eye on where that goes. Now, seeing it as a currency and looking at the pay ID, I have to say to myself, these things are not a coincidence that we're hearing about this. And I'm left with Carl Wagner's comment that if it's going to be the asset that's used as the internet of value, He believes it can't be taxed in any way, shape, or form, or it would disrupt the notion of what it is built to serve. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Shout out to Michael Allen and Carl Wagner for the incredible insights today. Hit that like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. I read as many as I can and try to answer them all, and we'll keep this conversation going. By the way, if you haven't done it, call to action. Go over and like and subscribe the Digital Ledger channel. The Digital Ledger channel. I will put a link in the comments as well. All right, guys, catch you on the next one.